Today on What Went Wrong? Come on, man. Hi, I'm Brett Mauser, and I've made over 40 feature films, and I've made some pretty hokey shit before. Not me, sometimes intentionally, especially like in the serial rabbit stuff, but sometimes not. Sometimes you try to be serious, but it didn't. But it doesn't always quite come out the way you'd hope. We're going to talk about hokey dramatic scenes today, and that being those dramatic moments that in some films can be very powerful, very emotional, and then you could try to do the same thing in another, but it comes off cringeworthy.
Yeah.
And you had actually posed this question a few months ago. I was like, what makes a movie hokey?
Yeah.
So
I mean, you know it when you see it, but you can't always tell exactly what causes it to be that way.
yeah. Now you love hokey.
I like hokey drama, but when it's done on purpose.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, let's open that up. Is when let's say you're doing a movie and you want that hokey drama. What are you specifically doing to make it hokey?
Dialogue will really help it become hokey, and then just telling your actors like, hey, don't take this seriously. I want this to be campy. I want it to be kind of more silly, you're almost telling them to kind of like overact it, just so it comes out like a little bit bad, you know.
I want to analyze all of that, but let's start with the dialogue. How do you make hokey dialogue? What makes dialogue hokey?
Just kind of the stuff that people, wouldn't say. Like, I know it's not.
See, I'm going to stop you there real quick because I knew you were going to say something along those lines. But dialogue in movies in general, people don't talk like that. Especially that fast-paced, back and forth, back and forth, and then some of those dramatic moments.
Except for us.
Yeah. They don't talk that way. So it's sort of to say, well, there's got to be a different way that people don't talk that way. You know what I mean?
There is a see
what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying, but there's a movie like, okay, this is not what's that movie where they have it's not Signs. Like, remember Water killed the things in Signs. Spoiler alert, maybe. But
I don't think it's
but there was some other movie, like, remember that guy who used to do movie reviews, like Joe Bob Briggs, I think he was called? In one of his movie reviews, he was talking about some movie, which I never saw the movie, but they were talking about the dialogue was, water kills it? Yeah, water kills it. Oh, so we need water. Yeah, we need water. Like, that is hokey dialogue. I never saw that film, but it makes me want to see the people going, water kills it? Yeah.
So that's more like bad acting than hokey dialogue.
But that's hokey dialogue and bad acting. That's what I was saying. You got to get the people to kind of like deliver it in such a way, because I bet you somebody, a really good actor, could make that and be like, water kills it. You think water? Yeah. You could. I don't know.
Even there, I pulled in. Even that performance, I'm like, water. I've never been so intrigued by water.
So they just gotta have some fun with the scene,
So would you say? So it's got to be a combination of things then.
Yeah.
So what makes something good hokey versus bad hokey? Because you can watch something like Serial Rabbit and get it, full moon, get it,
full moon,
enjoy it. It's hokey, ha ha ha. But then you watch something that does the exact same thing, but is because of the intent?
Maybe it takes itself too seriously. Like Airplane, one of the greatest movies ever made, by the way. Airplane was actually based
0 Hour
on 0 Hour, and it's almost exactly
dialogue
word for word.
Yeah.
It's just the Zucker brothers added the Zucker brother touch. But I mean, like, if you notice, Leslie Nielsen at no time ever does not take his lines very seriously. There's never a point in time. There's not even a point in time when he, because the guy like Ted Stryker and the characters, they sometimes realize that what someone said doesn't make any sense. Like, you'll see him do like that. But Leslie Nielsen, he's got it all the way through, from the time you see him to the time he's gone. He's doing some weird stuff, but he's with it the whole time. And his dialogue is, I guess you could say, hokey, but his delivery is dead on. But the fact that he's surrounded by such weirdness.
Yes, yeah, he's like the straight man.
So he's the straight man in a movie that itself isn't straight. And everyone in it is trying. I mean, there's really not anyone who realizes that what's going on is ridiculous. You know, like one of the things I liked about. I mean, I love me a Disney movie, but like Flynn Rider in Tangled. At one point, he's like, "Why is everybody singing?" He's like the everyman. It's like, why is everyone singing all of a sudden? You know. And they says, "What about you?" As though I don't sing, and they stick a knife in his face. Well, you know, he starts singing. And so that's kind of a self-awareness kind of thing. So whereas in an airplane, no one is self-aware that everything's ridiculous. But it's completely ridiculous. So that would definitely be considered, I guess, hokey dialogue that's meant to be hokey. Whereas 0 Hour was kind of hokey and I guess didn't mean to be. I don't know. You know?
We might have like a spin-off show of What Went Wrong where we just take some serious scenes and reenact them in a hokey manner and see if we it up.
Well, because the thing is, if it's meant to be like, okay, Airplane's a comedy. It's meant to be a comedy. They're never presenting it not. I mean, from A, it's the Zucker brothers and they're out of control, and B, from the get-go, you are aware of the ridiculousness of this movie. Mm-hmm. Okay. So, is there one of these times where you have a movie that's hokey? That is A, not trying to be ridiculous or not trying to be hokey, and since it's not, no one is aware of how hokey it is, but it is.
Okay,
I know the perfect movie for that. But
to counter that, I may be doing it, but to counter that, I bring up The Room.
That's the movie.
I knew it is fully intended to have, you know, a serious thing.
Yeah, a serious story. Go ahead.
And it was hokey. But even though it wasn't trying to be hokey and it wasn't trying to be funny, people appreciated it and became a cult classic because of its hokiness and it was so funny. So that almost excludes the intent part of hokiness in a way.
I don't know this movie.
You probably do. You may just not know it. Okay. Tommy something.
Tommy
Wiseau. It's considered like the worst movie ever made.
Yeah.
But the acting is just so ferocious.
Ferocious? Ferocious is a good word. I like ferocious.
You mean atrocious and horrible at the same time? Ferocious. We're writing that down.
Made a new word.
Just
made a new word.
You need to put that.
Ferocious thing.
You need to put that in your next movie somewhere. It's ferocious.
See, that would be a hokey line for me. Like, it's ferocious. What are you? Horrible and atrocious. Ferocious.
And I do a vertigo zoom up on the guy. You know, what is it?
Ferocious. That could be the name of the monster.
Dum, dum.
Yeah. Well, that's like the CSI Miami. You know, he
don't start talking bad about Horatio Kane. I love me some Horatio Kane. If I could be half as cool.
But
as Horatio
is that
Kane.
hokey or is that not hokey?
I don't know. I don't think it is. I think it's badass.
Well, he does a thing all the time. That's
it's
definitely hokey. If everybody makes fun of it afterwards, it's definitely hokey. Maybe it's cool, but it's hokey.
Because he also puts them on. You know, he'll like that.
So hokey isn't always bad. You know, I don't think hokey's always, and it might not always be comedic. I don't know. Hokey's.
I love. Okay, so that's not the same. But yeah, it's one of those questions. It goes like, is it hokey? Maybe, but it's also really cool. See, I love me some Horatio Kane. CSI Miami is was one of my favorite shows, and I haven't even seen them all.
One of the favorite lines that people have from Serial Rabbit 3 is,
I've got some tricks up my sleeve.
and even when I was shooting that, I was going, this is so cringe. This is so bad. Why do I love this so much? And it's part of Will's delivery on it. Very, Leslie Nielsen.
Yeah.
He was in that
sold it.
character.
Yeah.
He thought he was doing something cool. And then when you cut to the cop getting out of the car and he goes, that's right. And it's just, he's fully into it as well. Brandon Duffin. And he just like, yeah, like you go, man. And then leaves. And it's just so like, oh, but it's like, but that's funny. Why is it so funny?
Oh, that seems
because it's the same reason Airplane is funny. It's trying to be serious, even though it's completely ridiculous. I mean, you're making a movie about a 6-foot bunny outfit that's killing people by itself. Basically. It's a possessed bunny outfit. Of all the things to possess, A bunny outfit's probably the least accept. It's like if you're a demon, it's like, all right, here's your possession schedule. Here, Bill, you get a bull. Here, Bill, you get a buffalo. Joe, you get a wild stag in the... Oh, that's pretty cool. You get a bunny rabbit outfit. I'm sorry, what? I get a bunny rabbit? No. A bunny rabbit outfit. I'm going to need you to explain that a little bit. All right, so it's a 6 foot tall Easter bunny outfit. And you possess it. Like, I'm going to need you to go over that one more time, please. Are you telling me that I am going to be possessing a furry costume? Hey, there you go. Congratulations. You do get a 3-bladed prongy thing of death.
Instrument of death and destruction.
Like, it's like, okay, well, that's cool. But please tell me it's not white. Oh, it is so white. With a little pink belly. Oh, Samael, I'm going to get you for this. But so Will acting goofy in that, I'm the straight man, fits perfectly. Sound like an airplane. You know, where everyone in there they're selling their scene. Everybody, you know, everyone sold it. And they had a bunch of really good actors too. That didn't hurt.
Yeah.
You know, even Walt Chamberlain did his stuff. But I mean, so you've got Hokey Dialogue in a comedy. The reason Will was so funny is because he went for it. Leslie Nielsen'd his ass off in that thing, and he was like, "Boom, I'm doing that." He Ted Stryker. He just did it. He just went with it, and it was fantastic because the movie is supposed to be goofy, as the aforementioned little section about the 6 foot bunny rabbit outfit would pretend. And so in that case, the Hokey Dialogue fits perfectly because it sells the scene. It sells the character, it sells the scene, it sells the movie. The question, I guess, that we all come up with is, when do you have Hokey Dialogue that's not supposed to be hokey, and does it help or hurt the movie?
Well, obviously, if you put that scene in the middle of Training Day with Denzel Washington, and Denzel, after he just gives this brilliant speech, I got tricks up my sleeve, and he pulls that, and even if he delivered it spot on, you'd be like,
What was that?
Did he just have an episode? What happened to him? Is he okay?
What happened? But knowing Denzel, he might have been able to pull it off.
You might. That's what I was saying. That's why you're going to have some scenes, have somebody try to pull off a scene in a non-hokey way, or make a scene that's not hokey. See if you can make it hokey.
When you first initially asked, what makes something hokey? What about an episode like that? The first things that jumped in my head was going to be performance, and then, believe it or not, the camera and how it looks. If you're watching something that looks like Serial Rabbit, that looks like DV, you're never fully going to be able to get into that movie. At least at my experience and what I feel, because because of the look of it, it looks like a home movie or an amateur porn or something. It just looks, and the reason I say it is because Scott Neff used to always say that about about Last Blood, in some of those earlier movies. As soon as you get it, so that, as soon as you're shooting on something that doesn't look like porn, you may actually have something. So the camera and and what you're shooting on can sometimes, I think, impact that. You're shooting on something that looks like VHS or something that looks kind of amateurish, or it may,
unless that's what you're going for, like the Blair Witch Project.
Yeah.
was shot on a video, whatever it was.
But you're setting it up, and then
but you were setting it up as a video.
That's
Same thing with the one when they were in New York and the alien came down. Cloverfield, yeah. One of those things where it's kind of the thing. So you get these emotional performances when they're, when everything's going on, but it's set up to look like it's a video thing. So, yeah, I guess camera angles, or I should say intended effect, could be something you could say. It's intended to be a video-ish looking thing. Because I thought the performance of the actors was acceptable in that. I didn't see anything that looked outright bad. The same thing with
the the scene we talked about. I talked about this a little bit with Joey, but the scene in Red Days where Charles is saying goodbye to Denise.
Oh my God, dude!
Again, we completely screwed that up 5 minutes later.
Yeah, you did.
But
because and the whole thing, I was like, wow, this is really an emotional. Damn, is this Pond? Oh, and then of course Zombie Baby was like, that there. So we're back, and we're back.
Was that hokey?
No.
Then what was it? Because that could have been very hokey. Was it the actors?
The acting? Okay, well, for you have Denise and Charles.
Was it the lighting as well? That
probably.
you're not in, going back to the camera look, that if it wasn't lit properly, it could look amateurish, and then you get pulled out of the film.
Right. Well, it's that you've got, Denise, of course, is a fantastic actress. She's had a lot of experience, a lot of stage experience. And Charles, who also had a lot of stage experience and things like that. So you had two very good actors going for the scene, and something that could seem not say busy, but people could realize it's something that could happen. Not the zombie part, but I mean the someone getting hurt and dying right there kind of thing in your home is something that people could relate to. And when you have two good actors pulling off a fantastic performance in that situation, you have something that could have been hokey had they not been very good at it. But they're both very good at it. And so, excuse me, having the performers lit and shot and perform so eloquently and capably as they did, it wasn't hokey. It wasn't until another 5 minutes later when the zombie baby comes out that it all of a sudden went sideways. But that was the point though, and so it was almost like you stuck a dramatic scene into a bizarre slasher comedy, which, okay. So in that case, they were lit very well, they were shot very well, and they performed very well. So it was not hokey. The dialogue was something that would have been said and done back then, And so once again, the dialogue wasn't hokey. So in that case, you accidentally made a very good dramatic scene.
When you first asked that question about what makes a movie hokey, what makes a scene hokey, how do you avoid hokiness? What would be an example in your head of a hokey scene? What would you define as hokey? What is a scene that is a hokey scene to you?
I can't think of anything off the top of my head like a specific example, but it's one of these. It's something to where I'm getting either Well, I guess a lot of the '80s blockbuster movies had this problem. The One Crazy Summer and all the crazy stuff like that. The Wraith, if you're familiar with The Wraith, had kind of that kind of weird, hokey kind of talking they would do. So it's like they're trying to be serious, but it just doesn't sound right. It's like stuff that people wouldn't say, or it's just not believable necessarily. Like in The Wraith, for example, when the Wraith shows up in the shop, and he's got a shotgun. Okay, now those guys are staying around. Like, hey, what are you doing? I was like, I'm sorry. I know at least one of the characters there was probably in a drugged haze, maybe two. I know one may have been on some kind of uppers or downers or something else, but at no point in time, if I'm in a car shop working on by the way, all badass vehicles, I thought they were all pretty cool, especially the Corvette. If I'm working on in my engine shop, and dude in a black suit and motorcycle helmet rolls into my place with a Spas 12 gauge shotgun, I'm going to have a little bit of concern about that. I'm not going to go, hey, what are you doing here, kid? I'm like, are you carrying an M16 somewhere under that pocket? Do you have like Duncan MacLeod's sword tucked away? Because dude has a shotgun. Okay, so in that case, the whole little scene just seemed hokey to me. Because dude walks in with a shotgun, I'm not going to be like, hey, what are you doing, kind of stuff, as I'm standing there unarmed next to my Corvette. Okay. I'm like, check you later, and I'm out the back door. I'm gone, and he can blow up whatever, and that's going to suck, but at least I'm not going to die. But it's like, for some reason, dude thought he was just immortal, and maybe he did, but it didn't sell it to me. So I'm just like, okay. So that, I guess, could be an example of a hokey scene. It was a question of the characters were playing it straight, but I just didn't believe the stuff they were saying or the situation in which they found themselves. It seemed like a contrived scene, So anytime you have things like that,
maybe something. So it's maybe the art of being the art's sake, or the drama being for drama's sake, or
right.
just putting something in to be kind of almost going back to what we said. What you criticized, like Tag for, or some of the things. The earlier drafts of Tag. Well, you're just doing because you have that scene that you want to see.
right?
So you force stuff in to
you jam something in somewhere. They wanted to have that scene where he walks in and the Wraith blows up some car stuff and shoots a hole and pisses off our heroes. Scares the one, because he was the one who was like, it's a Wraith, I'm out. He was done. And plus everyone keeps dying. And if you've never seen the Wraith, you should. 1980s
Charlie
Sheen, and it exemplifies the 80s. It is so awesome. But anyway.
Maybe it's logic.
The logic, I denied the logic. Like I said, dude walks in with a shotgun and I'm unarmed. I'm out the door. I'm not hanging out to find out. And no one did anything. In fact, they were insulting him. The guy with the shotgun. And it wasn't like he had the shotgun hidden behind his back. He walks in with a shotgun, and it's it's an automatic shotgun. Automatic 12 gauge is the same thing that Arnold Schwarzenegger used in The Terminator. To give you an example of what it is. That's not around. It's a big thing, and so it just seemed like reality check, which is to say, someone walks in the door with a shotgun and you're unarmed, time to go somewhere else, And I don't mean like the dude walks in. I mean, dude walks in like this and wearing black helmet, can't see his face, and your buddies are dying in car crashes. Probably not a good idea to be around there, So that was hokey. I guess it just seemed forced and jammed in there. Anytime you have a lot of these scenes where they need to dump exposition on you, but it's kind of like choppy and segmented, it doesn't make any sense. They're like, well, she really likes you, Bill. Oh no, she can't like me because she's just got done. She and so and so just broke up. Well, it's like you're doing this thing to kind of advance the plot, but it's just like, oh, come on. So that's one of the things where it shouldn't be there. They put it there, but it shouldn't be there. I know what they're trying to do, but there's better ways to do this because they're telling, not showing. So that's hokey as far as that's one of the things I think.
Well, and that's a difficult thing that I had in Tag Conspiracy. There was so much exposition that had to be set up, and I was worried about some of the stuff. Yeah, there was some of the stuff I was worried about, but I think with the hologram phone and how she's explaining to Hal a lot of things, I think that works.
Yeah,
because of the logic that if he were just going up and asking somebody everything, that would kind of, people would be like, why are you asking me this? What do you,
what don't you know?
Yeah.
Well,
he's basically doing it with a Google search, but we've made it entertaining by putting somebody there and making a hologram and things like that. Yeah. So maybe it's the logic aspect of it.
Well, and also people are going to put themselves in that character.
Yeah.
They're going to say, what would happen if I woke up after 20 years and I have no idea what the hell's going on, and I'm in a socialist post modern dystopian, psychopathic, whatever, and I'm trying to survive in this world. You can't just walk up to Bill on the street, because Bill on the street is doing his thing and he's living his life, and all of a sudden some guy walks up and says, hey, what year is it? You're like, you'll tell him, because maybe he's drunk, but if he keeps asking you questions, it's like, I'm going to go ahead and go. And so you can't just have him asking people, because you have to put yourself in that position. Yeah, I'll put myself in the position of Ty, where I'm lost and confused. I have no idea what's going on. But I was going to put myself in the shoes of Bill, who was just trying to get home to get dinner. He just got done with work, and he's closing the Jones account, and he had to work late, so he's just trying to get back to the house, and because Martha gets all pissed off when he works too much. You kind of and you can't have this big hey, what are you doing? And Bill's not going to stand there and explain every goddamn thing to Hal. Meanwhile, if you have a little thing, then she'll do it. And so he's going out as normal that he'd be doing anyway. Meanwhile, he's having this interesting conversation.
I was just going to say, Hokey might not just be the film or the show. It's also the viewer. Because, like to me, like in soap operas are hokey as hell, but people love the hell out of those.
It's a very good point.
you know what you're going in to watch. And like you say, when that guy takes off his glasses or puts them on and says something, to you love that. That's not hokey.
The audience is willing to accept, willing to believe what they're willing to.
Or you go back like to the 80s and they're like, the A-Team. They had to drug Mr. T every time he got on a plane. Like he knows he's going to get on a plane. How the hell is he doing missions? But he's going to drink something from I forgot the guy's name. The crazy guy.
Murdoch.
Murdoch, yeah. It's just
and they always got to bust Murdoch out of prison, out of the
It's it's hokey or Gilligan's Island was the same. Oh, little buddy. It's something that happened all the time. They never made it off. They made with coconuts and everything, but he couldn't make a boat.
Well, hokiness may be in the eye of the beholder.
Definitely, for sure.
Yeah,
is in the
I would
eye of
think
the
so.
beholder.